The adaptive response is acquired immunity, as we're not born with it but develop this response throughout our lives as pathogens are encountered. The humoral response refers to the production of antibodies through B cells, whereas the cell-mediated response refers to the destruction of infected or abnormal self-cells driven by T cells. The adaptive immune response is activated by the innate immune response when dendritic cells or other antigen-presenting cells present an antigen to lymphocytes, and this causes the activation of lymphocytes. Unlike the innate immune response, which tells bacteria from viruses, the adaptive response is much more specific to the pathogen it's fighting, for example, distinguishing between different strains of COVID-19. The main types of cells involved in the adaptive response are lymphocytes. There are two main types of lymphocytes, B and T lymphocytes. Lymphocytes are produced by a process called lymphopoiesis. This is when hemopoietic stem cells mature within the bone marrow into common lymphoid progenitor cells. These then either differentiate into B or T cells. B cells develop into immature B cells in the bone marrow and complete maturation in the spleen or lymph nodes. A mature B cell will secrete antibodies. T cells are formed when common lymphoid progenitor cells travel to the thymus and become thymocytes. When a thymocyte matures in the thymus, it will become a T cell. The adaptive response is so much slower than the innate response, however, provides the body with long-lasting immunological memory in the form of B and T memory cells. B lymphocytes originate in the bone marrow and mature in lymph nodes and spleen. They drive the humoral immune response by producing antibodies. They also form memory B cells which remember specific antigens of different pathogens, so when the body encounters the pathogen again, it can make the same antibodies but so much faster and in much higher quantities. B lymphocytes can also act as antigen-presenting cells, which activate T cells and the cell-mediated response. B cells present antigens on MHC2, which are detected by CD4 plus T helper cells. After naive B cells encounter a specific antigen, they will differentiate into plasma cells and or B memory cells. Naive B cells are derived from common lymphoid progenitor cells and are found in the spleen and lymph nodes. They have both IgM and IgD antibodies on their surface, which act as B cell receptors, and these bind to specific antigens. They will differentiate into either plasma or memory B cells when they meet their specific antigen. Naive B cells are like baby Rosalina from Mario Universe. Both are early versions of something much more powerful. Naive B cells haven't yet encountered an antigen, just as baby Rosalina hasn't stepped into her cosmic role. While they may seem unremarkable at first glance, both carry the promise of greatness. Naive B cells are clearly capable of mounting a strong immune response once activated, and baby Rosalina is destined to become a wise and powerful protector of the galaxy. Activation transforms this cell. Naive B cells need exposure to an antigen to mature into plasma cells or memory B cells, much like how baby Rosalina needs time and experience to grow into her future self. In the meantime, naive B cells patrol the body in search of their perfect match, while baby Rosalina wanders the world with her latent abilities quietly waiting to be awakened. Plasma B cells produce large amounts of antibodies, which are specific to an antigen on a pathogen. These antibodies are released into the blood plasma and lymph system to travel to the site of infection. Plasma B cells are like Rosalina in full battle mode. After encountering their specific antigen, they power up and focus entirely on producing antibodies like Rosalina, focusing her enhanced abilities on defeating enemies and protecting the galaxy. While naive B cells are just potential, plasma cells are activated specialists, similar to how Rosalina with a power-up is no longer passive. Antibodies can neutralize pathogens by binding to their surface. This can prevent them from entering healthy cells and also makes them easier for phagocytic cells such as neutrophils and macrophages to detect. This is called opsonization. Antibodies can also cause agglutination, where several pathogens are clumped together, making them an easier target for phagocytosis. Antibodies are also able to activate the complement system, which enhances the immune response by directly killing pathogens and recruiting other immune cells. Memory B cells circulate in the bloodstream after initial response to an infection. Unlike plasma cells, they are long-lived and respond rapidly. They possess B cell receptors through which they remember the specific antigen they met during an initial infection. On second exposure to the antigen, memory B cells are able to differentiate into plasma B cells to create antibodies, but faster and in greater numbers than last time. Memory B cells are like Rosalina because they're long-living, wise protectors who quietly watch over the system and spring into action when needed, bringing powerful targeted responses to threats. T cells originate in the bone marrow, but they mature in the thymus, which is a small organ above the heart. They circulate in the bloodstream and populate lymphoid tissues such as the spleen, lymph nodes, and tonsils. There are three main types of T cells. These are cytotoxic T cells, helper T cells, and regulatory T cells. All mature T lymphocyte cells have T cell receptors, which enable the cell to recognize and respond to antigens. Helper T cells, also known as CD4+ cells, are activated by MHC2 molecules during antigen presentation. Helper T cells can differentiate into different types of helper T cells, such as Th1, 2, 17, and T follicular helper cells. Th1 cells combat intracellular pathogens such as viruses and bacteria, whereas Th2 cells combat extracellular pathogens such as parasites and helminths. Th17 cells fight extracellular bacteria and fungi, and T follicular helper cells are specialized to help B cells produce antibodies. These cells release cytokines which help other immune cells by telling them what to do. They activate CD4+ cells which amplifies their response, as well as activating CD8+ cells leading to enhanced killing. They also activate B cells to produce antibodies and activate phagocytes to perform phagocytosis. Helper T cells are like the Ouija with a power-up. They're not direct attackers, but they empower everyone else to succeed. With their power-up, activation via antigen presentation, they unleash a cascade of help. B cells start producing antibodies, cytotoxic T cells become lethal killers, and macrophages ramp up their cleanup game. Just like how Luigi with a power-up might not steal the spotlight, but he boosts the entire team, clears the way, and makes victory possible. Cytotoxic T cells, also known as CD8+ cells, are activated by antigen presentation on MHC1. When activated, these cells release cytotoxic granules containing perforin and granzymes. Perforin creates a hole in the infected host cell membrane which allows the granzymes to gain entry and induce programmed cell death. This is also known as apoptosis. They also express Fas-L, which allows them to bind to a Fas receptor on target cells and initiate apoptosis. Cytotoxic T cells are like Mario, but powered up and charging into battle. After activation, they go straight to the source of the infected or abnormal cell and take them out with precision tools, much like Mario tossing fireballs or stomping enemies while powered up. They're the main damage dealers, not waiting in the background but actively fighting to protect the whole system. Just like Mario with a power-up, cytotoxic T cells are focused, aggressive, and highly effective at eliminating danger. Treg cells maintain balance within the immune system. They suppress excessive immune responses through the release of inhibitory cytokines. This helps prevent the development of autoimmune diseases and regulates the responses to allergens and tumours in the body. Treg cells are like Bowser because they rule over the immune system and keep the cells in check. Just like a Bowser with his kingdom, he prevents any riots by releasing soldiers, just like how Tregs prevent excessive inflammation and damage by releasing inhibitory cytokines.